Okay, welcome to the Manifest Massively podcast. I have joining me today Stephen Hill. His handle is Stephen Left the Church. We're going to ask about that because I want to know where did that handle come from. And I want to share with you guys, I met Stephen in a program that we were in, and I just loved his energy, as I already know you are going to love his energy. And already just go follow him on Instagram because his Instagram is just so uplifting and I get my confidence shot like every time I'm around him. So I reached out to Stephen to have a conversation about manifestation, and here we are. Thank you for being here, Stephen. Really happy to have you. So let's begin. I don't actually know your full story. How did you become a manifestation coach? Was it weird for you to start calling yourself that? Or did you just know, like, no, this is what I am because this is you take it away. You share with me and us this journey of yours.
Yay! Okay, first off, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I just remember in that program that we were in, I just felt instantly connected to your energy as well. So it's just a total manifestation for me to be here. So I learned about manifestation, and it started out with me posting on Facebook that I was struggling with depression. And someone commented and they said, "Have you heard of Louise Hay? She has amazing affirmations. You should look her up." So she's a wonderful, isn't she? So I
She was
looked
my
up Louise Hay.
gateway.
What's that?
She was my gateway too.
Yes, she's. So I looked her up on YouTube, and she was talking about affirmations, and I started speaking affirmations, and started noticing the number 111 everywhere, 1111, 444, and I just went on YouTube and I was looking that up and just learning about what that means, and then somehow came across the movie The Secret on Netflix and just fell in love with everything manifestation, everything. Like, it's so funny because I used to be a minister. What we do now is like considered new age. The Himalayan salt lamps, like you have one, I have one right here beside me. Like the crystals, I have a bunch of crystals. I have like all these, like this was sinful to me back in the day. This was like wrong. This was like, like grounds for going to hell. Like honestly, like just real. Like now I'm sitting here as a manifestation coach. It's just insane to me where I was versus where I am and just how different I am. Like if you go back to 2015 and before, you would not recognize me. You literally wouldn't. I was very much in the closet. I was very scared to be myself. I was terrified of God. I was terrified of going to hell. I was scared of my pastor and the people in my church. I mean, I was just very terrified. So when I came into manifestation at first, yes, I will admit I was a little bit skeptical, and I was also scared. The idea of manifesting things and visualizing and things like that was very scary. Like at first it was very uncomfortable, but now in 2023, I'm just like, whatever. Like I just like it's amazing to me. It's my favorite thing in the world, manifestation. It's like my favorite topic. I was doing a live video on TikTok the other night, and I was just like sitting there, just I could not shut up about manifestation. And I was like, I literally get paid to do this and like to talk about this. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. And also because I used to be a minister, so I used to speak at church, and my dream at 12 years old was to be speaking on preaching. And so when my pastor in the church had found out I was gay, and other churches did as well, he said to me, he said, "You do know your ministry is basically over, right? Like your ministry is over. You've lost respect." And 10 years later in 2023, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, oh my God, like my ministry was never over. It was just getting started. Like it's just crazy what you can go through. It's just crazy to me because not only do I call myself a manifestation coach, but inspirational speaker as well. Speaking on stages is my big dream. And I do have a platform on TikTok with like 43,000 people. It's just, and my dream since I was 12, 13 years old was to be speaking in front of that many people on stages. And God has given me this platform. It's like, okay, you're not on physical stages yet, but here's a stage. It just blows my mind. Manifestation is my favorite thing in the world. It's crazy how things can change.
As you were beginning your journey, And you were like, okay, this manifestation thing, I'm a little bit skeptical, but I'm curious. I'm going to try it out. Like, what were the first few manifestations that you were like, hands down, holy shit, this is for real. I freaking manifested this. Like, I'm going to keep going.
Okay, so I've got a couple of ones and it's got chills because they're not like huge, crazy manifestations. But the first thing was, I would say one day I woke up in the morning and I was craving raw broccoli. I have no idea why I was craving raw broccoli. I wanted raw broccoli, not just the little florets that you get in the bag. I wanted broccoli. And so my mom came home that afternoon from work. I didn't say anything. I didn't mention it to anyone. I didn't breathe a word to anyone. I was just like, I want raw broccoli. That afternoon, my mom came home from work with a box of raw broccoli, huge broccoli. Her coworker grew it in her garden and gave it and was giving it out at work. And that never happened before. I was like, okay, that's crazy. Then one time, I would say another story is, I don't know if you've heard the Neville Goddard technique where you fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And my mom at the time, when I would drive her to work, she would drive to work and I'd get out at her job and then I drive. So I tested it out and I was like, okay, I want to practice this. I'm going to visualize, I'm going to imagine and fall asleep at the feeling of my mom asked me to drive her to work instead of her driving. I visualized it. I imagined my mom saying, Stephen, you're going to drive me to work this morning instead of me driving. The next morning, my mom was like, hey, Stephen, I'm going to let you drive. I don't want to drive this morning. That was crazy. Another thing is I entered a Taylor Swift contest to win this vinyl, a Lover vinyl. There were like 27,000 entries. And I kept saying to my friend, I said, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win this. And the next couple of days, it was like 5 days later. 5 days later, I got a tag on Twitter and said the winner is Stephen Hill. And I was just like, I knew it. And it's little things like that just kept proving to me. It's so funny, like Sarah Dan like talks about small offers. Don't underestimate those small priced, lower priced offers. And it's just like those small manifestations, because when you manifest the small things, you build up confidence.
Yeah, I just want to speak to that because especially those of you that are listening that are new to manifestation and you're just putting your toe in the water, off of small things, that building momentum, that compound effect of like, oh, here's listing a parking spot for you. It's like, okay, broccoli just showed up. Well, I was just thinking about that. That's interesting. Okay, let me experiment with something that is maybe a little bit more like believable, reachable, attainable. Like I could see this happening, but it hasn't happened yet, but I could see it happening. And I feel like that is such a beautiful, intentional way to build on I think the people that come into manifestation, they're like, okay, fine, I'm going to try to manifest $1 million. And then they don't, and then they discount it, and they're not actually paying attention to the believability of it, what you actually have the capacity to receive in the moment based on your believability. Like what I hear and what you're sharing is like, you did what I call incremental manifesting, a little bit at a time, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And that allowed you to actually have winning a contest out of 27,000 people is pretty amazing. I just think that is really, really powerful. And I hope that, those that are new to it, like even for me, I'll be like, okay, let's manifest a parking spot. Like even just like the little things, because those little things build up your own confidence. The more confidence you have, the more believability you have, the stronger your ability to manifest and receive is. And then that just like compounds again and again and again. So I just love how you really guided yourself through it.
It is a practice too. It's a practice. And like you said, like people that go into this like, oh, I'm going to manifest a house. Well, if you don't believe that you can manifest a cup of coffee, how are you going to manifest a house? So, let's start out small and let's build up. You eventually will manifest the house, but let's practice our belief system in manifesting the small things. But do not underestimate those small things, because that confidence, it is all adding up, and you'll just get better and better and better and better and better. And eventually you'll be in that dream house. Like for us, for example, the last house we just moved out of, the floor was falling in, the toilet was falling in. It was a house from the 1930s. Our landlord, she wasn't evicting us. We weren't getting like evicted because of rent or anything. It was because she was selling the property. Her dad passed away, and so she wanted to sell the property. And she gave us like 5 or 6 months to get to move to another house. And growing up, I always wanted to live in a beautiful home. I always wanted to live in a 2-story brick home in a gorgeous neighborhood. But here we were in this 2-bedroom, 1-bath home where the floors were literally caving in because it was so old. But I could still, I was like, you know what? I create my reality. I've built up the confidence. I'm going to imagine us living in a beautiful home. I have no idea how it's going to happen. I have no idea where. The houses that my mom kept looking at were like trailer, nothing wrong with trailers, but we grew up in trailer parks and we were looking at lower end homes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to live in a beautiful home. And so I just kept imagining us living in a gorgeous home, even though the evidence was you should give up. There's no point in trying this, but I kept believing, I kept seeing it. I saw us driving in a beautiful neighborhood, driving up to a beautiful in a driveway, and it's a brick home. I saw a backyard fenced in. I saw trees over the backyard. I just saw in a gorgeous neighborhood. And one day my mom calls me and she's like, "Hey, Steven, for fun, me and your sister, we went to go look at this beautiful 3-story house." And I was just like, "Oh, that's cool how that unfolded." And then that it wasn't that house. We thought we were going to get that house. And we were brokenhearted that we didn't. But I said, I'm not giving up. I am standing my ground. Abraham Hicks says, I create my reality. Neville Goddard says, I create my reality. Oprah Winfrey says, I create my reality. I'm creating my fucking reality. Excuse me if you don't guys want to. I am creating my reality. And I kept seeing it and I kept feeling it. And I just kept on believing. And one day my mom was like, Steven, I think we found the house. Let's go look at it tonight. So we went and we looked, and it was in a beautiful neighborhood, brick house. And now we're in that 2-story brick home in that beautiful neighborhood. And it just was, it started out just from me manifesting that raw broccoli. And it started out for me manifesting that contest and manifesting a trip to meet Mel Robbins in person, to be coached by her in Boston. And then someone flew me to Vegas, and someone flew me in first class to Miami, Florida, and I got to go to a retreat in person for free, and got to go on a yacht and stay in an Airbnb all by myself. Like, these things you just build up and you just get better and better and better. And now I've got a TikTok following of 43,000 people, and it's just getting better. Like, I'm not saying you can manifest your way out of depression out overnight. Depression is a very real mental illness. It's very real. But I can say, to me, manifestation is about empowerment. Just like you said, you empower yourself, you practice your belief in yourself, you rearrange how you view and feel about yourself. And day by day and day by day, you get better. And it's like climbing out of that ladder. And I literally climbed out of that pit of terrible, dark depression. And today I'm the happiest I've been since I was a kid.
Wow. Wow. How long, for those that might be listening, I've definitely dealt with depression myself. Many people do, unfortunately, today. How long would you say how long of a process was that for you?
Okay, in 2015, it was the day before Thanksgiving, 2015, a cop pulled me over and he said, "You are driving with suspended driver's license. You have no insurance on your car. I'm having your car towed." And then the cop took me back to my apartment. I had just come out of the closet 30 days before. I thought God was punishing me. The cop drove me to my apartment. I went into the new place I had just moved into that month, walked in, shut the door behind me, went in my room, shut the door, and fell down to my knees. And I immediately knew, and I cried and I broke down, and I just knew that I was entering a very, very dark chapter of depression. I had to move back in with my mom. This depression lasted from the end of 2015 to probably early or mid 2019. The depression was so bad that I would go 3 to 4 months at a time without ever leaving the house. I mean, without ever stepping off the property. That's how bad the depression was. It was so bad that my mom, was afraid that she was going to come home and I wasn't going to be alive, just being real. And it was a process. It was not something that changed overnight. It was something that when I learned about depression, I remember thinking to myself, I think I found the thing that's going to help me change my life. But in order for me to change my life, I've got to change myself. I've got to work on my belief system. I've got to work on how I see myself, how I view myself, my relationship with God and who God is and what that is and where that is. Like, I have to rebuild myself up. If you want to change your life, or if you're in depression with manifestation, it's not, I'm just going to be honest and real with you. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be completely happy overnight. But if you work it and if you do the inner work, you will, I really do believe that you will find relief and you can change yourself and you can change your life. It was definitely a process from end of 2015 until maybe early 2019, when I was finally like, I think I've made it out. I think I'm free now. And at the end of 2019, I can definitely say now I'm the happiest I've been since I was a kid, for sure.
I love that so much. I had a
Awesome.
conversation with a holistic psychiatrist one time. He had worked with people in trauma for 15 to 20 years. And he shared with me that human beings are equipped to heal themselves. They're equipped, the
Yes.
mind is equipped to heal itself from trauma. And that literally what it comes down to is basically what you just described, this micro shift, this reframing day by day, this repatterning, reprogramming perception, reprogramming how we see ourselves, reprogramming how we see God, right? Like continuing to build on that. And I just love how you're sharing your story. You followed something higher, something within you, however you want to describe that. It's clear something guided you, and really you guided yourself through this process. From what I hear, you were just like, no, I deserve better than this. There is another way. There is a better way. I know there's another way and a better way, and I'm going to freaking walk this path until I find it. I love how it's so human. I feel sometimes when we talk about manifestation, or when it's talked about in the online space, it can get a little airy fairy, which don't get me wrong, I love the woo woo stuff.
Yes, love the woo woo, but we also like to be grounded.
I mean, I just hear your humanness, and we're all human beings here having a human experience. So to really bring manifestation in this context of the real deal, I used this to help me in this really deep way. And so now you have a business around it. Tell me about that. How did your Instagram account start? How did your TikTok following, like where did that begin, and what is your vision for your business right now?
So, okay, so I had no idea that there was a coaching space online until 2018. That's when I found Amanda Francis, Sarah Dan. Like, I had no idea. Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zinkina, I think you know Catherine. I had no idea that there were manifestation, like coaches. I didn't know that this was a thing. When I found Catherine Zinkina, Manifestation Babe, I was like, oh, she literally like gets to help people with this and gets paid to help people with this. And so when I found her account, I was like, oh my God. And then I found Amanda Francis, and then I truly fell in love. She's like my hero. Other than Taylor Swift, I'd say Amanda Francis is pretty up there, and Sarah Dan. And so when I learned about this, I was like, oh yeah, I want to do manifestation coaching. I want to put myself out there. And I did a few times. It was very on and off. Again, at that time, I was still like kind of like coming out of, I was just at the very end of coming out of the depression. I was very much at the very end. So I was like very on and off. Well, fast forward to summer of 2022, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going all in. This is my dream. This is what I want. And so I started posting videos on TikTok, but they're very random. They're very like, there was no purpose to them. It was just having fun. And then I found my message, which was, you're a superstar. I love talking about people being a superstar. In fact, I just this morning filmed a 52-minute masterclass talking about stepping into the superstar version of you. I love helping people manifest stepping into the superstar version of it. It's my favorite thing. I believe I want my online space, I want my online presence to be a safe space for the superstars. Like, you can come into my energy, come into my space, and just fully own and admit that you want to be famous and you want to be a superstar. Like, that's what I feel like my online presence is. That's how I want you to feel when you come into my space. Some people go to their parents, or they'd say, oh, I want to be famous. And they're like, no, you need to dream a little bit smaller. Or some people like kind of like, oh, that'll never happen to you. Come to Steven, and it just feels like, oh my God, he makes it feel like it's totally doable and possible for me. So I just started talking about that on TikTok. And one day a video went, I mean, I got like 10,000 followers. I went from like 5,000 followers to 10,000 followers. And then I post another video and it went up to 25,000 followers. I've got a video that has 1.4 million views. I've got a couple of videos that have over 100,000. And it just, my account's been growing very slowly. And it's just my favorite thing in the world. My dream, my focus, my direction, my vision is speaking on stages in person. That's my ultimate dream. That's my passion, is speaking on stages. But while I'm on my way there, I have the platform online. The video that I filmed this morning for my masterclass, I stood up and I spoke like I was standing on a stage rather than just sitting down. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, you've got it now. You've got it right here. I work with one-on-one clients and coaching packages and stuff like that. And I do like master classes and programs and things like that. And so I get on live video as well and do like manifestation readings for people. The vision of my business, the vision of my career and my passion is speaking on stages, going on a tour, doing a TED talk, and writing a New York Times bestseller. And I had this idea this morning to create the Superstar Challenge journal, which is like a 30-day challenge into a journal, stepping into all these ideas have been coming to me, and it just like it's building momentum. You know what I mean? And it's just so exciting. It's so like I was sitting on my bed this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, like writing out the idea for my masterclass. And like, it's just crazy. A few years ago, I literally couldn't get out of the bed at 5 o'clock in the morning because I just didn't even want to exist. And now here I am. Like, it's just crazy.
I love it so much. So
It's so
much.
exciting. It's just crazy how much your life can change. We were talking about how people want to go like big. They want to go straight to that. But those small changes, they really do add up. And if you stick with it, like I feel like that's the theme of this conversation, is like it's the small changes. Like, let's focus on the small and let's build up the ladder. I mean, one day I was walking home. I love going on my 45-minute walks. I've lost 30 pounds since September 2022, and I just keep on losing weight just from walking. And one day I was walking home and I was like thinking, I was like, had an aha moment. I was like, in order for me to get home, I have to put one foot in front of the other. The destination is home, but in order for me to get there, I have to put one foot in front of the other. Eventually, I'm going to get there, but on the way there, one foot in front of the other. So that's what your destination is, the big manifestation, the big goal. But in order to get there, you got to put one foot in front of the other. So don't give up.
Yeah, and there's a simplicity to that. When our mind starts to think about the destination and how long it's going to take and how far it is, and when we start going down that thought process versus you're saying, or I could just be in the moment, totally enjoy, and literally while I'm enjoying the whole process, just put one foot in front of the other.
Right. Let's make it fun. The manifestation is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, I don't want it. I have no interest in. Listen, we're on a floating rock out in the middle of space. Supposedly the world's ending in like 10 to 15 years. We've only got a little bit of time. Let's enjoy it while we can.
That's so awesome. I was going to ask, so as you're following has grown, is that something that you have been actively manifesting? Have you been visualizing that? Have you band fully intending that?
Oh, 100%. I remember I remember talking to my mom, and and this was back in like August, beginning of August, maybe end of July. And I said, when do you think I'll hit 10,000 subscribers? And she asked me that. She's like, when do you think you'll hit 10,000? I was like, maybe by Christmas. And literally just a few days later, I hit 10,000 subscribers just like that. Like, I went viral a couple of times. And so, but yes, this is now I'm seeing 3.5 million. That's the goal. That's the big desire. That's where I want to be, is 3.5 million. And even more than that, like totally, obviously. But like, in order for me to get to the 3.5 million, I've got to hit the 50,000 first. So right now, the small goal is 50,000. But yes, it's something that I am. Like, I imagine people commenting and being like, telling me how much they love me. And I imagine people in my DMs, opening my DMs, just being like, oh my God, you saved my life, or you changed my life. And I do get those comments and I do get those DMs. And so really what you see in your mind will manifest. It's just a matter of believing it and willing to take inspired action.
You mentioned Abraham Hicks. Abraham tells you to not freaking pay attention to your reality.
Yes.
I feel like there's a value to that, because if you start paying attention to, well, it hasn't happened yet and it's not here yet, and why isn't it here yet? And then Abraham would say, like, you're beating the drum of why is it not here and it hasn't happened. All of your energy is going into that vibration, into that reality, versus everything I have heard you say in our entire conversation so far has been so focused on the desire and the intention, on the experience, on having fun in the experience. And I feel like that is such a big takeaway. It's something I think that gets missed. And I think to a degree we're conditioned to doubt, like we're conditioned to fear, we're conditioned to like pay attention to reality and make sure that you're focused on security, like you were talking about a little bit earlier. I just think it's such a testament of focusing on what's really important, what the desire is. You just so embody, and you've made it yours. That's the other thing I really love and admire about what you've shared today. You have made this your journey, your joyful experience, which I think that there are so many different ways we can talk about manifestation, perceive manifestation, but if we don't make it our own, and like you described, practice in these small ways and make it a daily practice of, I think, like when it's your own versus like, oh, I'm going to study this method. Like, it sounds to me like you studied, you learned about affirmations and you learned about Neville Goddard, but you made them your own and you found ways that really worked for you. And then you found joy in that because you weren't trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You're like, no, this is what works and I'm going to keep going. And I just love it. I love how willing you are to continuously expand.
Stop. That is so sweet of you to say. Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, you're right. Yes, there are so many different methods out there and techniques and what you can do. My favorite way to manifest is just closing my eyes and imagining it already happened and just feeling it and just feeling those yummy feelings. And then what I feel inspired to do. And I love what you were talking about, beat Abraham Hicks, when they say beat the drum. That when they say beat the drum, so it's like you can either beat the drum of this isn't working, it's not happening, where is it? Or you can beat the drum of it's unfolding all perfectly. God, source, spirit, universe is working behind the scenes. Everything's adding up in my favor. All I have to do is visualize and put in some practical action and just trust that it's all coming to me. If it happened for them, it can happen for me. Oh, look, a repeating number. That's a sign. Ooh, I feel good right now. I feel good in this visualization. That's a sign that it's happening just by feeling good. Like, don't forget, guys, your feelings are a manifestation. When you're happy, when you feel good, when you look at that, I just got chills. When you look at the vision board, when you listen to these podcast episodes, when you go to YouTube and you listen to Abraham Hicks, or you join a manifestation program, or you look at your bank account and you feel good, it's on its way. It's on its way. That's a manifestation. That feeling, you manifested that feeling, and that right there should be a sign, like an obvious sign that is coming to you. So you have a choice: beat the drum of it's not working, look at the current reality, get discouraged, or go to YouTube and put on a positive video and feel fucking good, because that isn't that the goal anyways, is to feel good. You will get the thing, you'll get the desire, you'll get the car, you'll get the house, you'll get the boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. But right now, what if you just decided to feel good? What if you just decided my life is now? It's not when I get a thing. Because, like, think about it. When you get a new car, the excitement's there, but then after a few weeks, you're like, oh, I'd like to have a new car. So you're always reaching for more manifestations. The car will come, but what if you just decided to feel good now just because it feels good to feel good? And I'm not talking about like toxic positivity. I'm not talking about, if you have depression or if you just broke your leg, don't just sit there and just lie to yourself. I am happy. I'm happy. No, what's something that I could look for to focus on, even if it's just a song like Flowers by Miley Cyrus is so damn good. Like, turn on that song or turn on a Whitney Houston song and just dance a little bit. What's that one little thing that you can do that's going to help improve the way you feel? And as you do that, you get better and better at calibrating to your inner being, to God, to source, the higher self. And you just get better and better. And one morning you're going to wake up and you're like, oh my God, I did it. I just love this stuff so much.
Same here. Same here. I know I could talk about this all day. Seriously. Yeah. share with us if people want to follow you, work with you, find you, where would you have them go?
Okay, so you can go to my website, manifestwithsteven.com, and that's Steven with a V, not a PH. Steven with a V. The only way you should spell it anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
I have that with my name too.
Also, yeah,
Nicole.
yeah. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Steven Left the Church. And yeah, that's it.
I feel like it needs to keep that handle, but I feel like it's Stephen created the church. Like,
Oh, stop it. Stop.
true. I mean, I actually love, like, sometimes we don't get to see these things until we're kind of like further down the line, but like from the outside looking in, especially that moment where I think you said it was a pastor that said that your ministering is over. And like, as soon as you said that and I was listening, I heard it was just getting started. And it's so the truth. You bring that kind of spiritual leadership to this. I love that because like you're getting your wish that you had all along. You are helping thousands of people at this point and more and growing. And you also get to enjoy the whole thing while it's all going on. Like, how does it get better than that?
Thank you so much for saying that. Just so sweet of you to say that. Just quick 10 seconds. Stephen Left the Church came from when you leave the church, people talk about you. And so I just imagine people being like, oh, did you hear Stephen left the church? So that's why I named it Stephen Left the Church.
What a way to like take the power back.
I know, right? And I know they go to my accounts and I know they see it. I just know they're watching. I literally know they are. So I just wonder, it doesn't even bother me if they like it or dislike it. I just think it's fun. And it, like you said, it took my power back around it. I definitely feel very empowered around that username.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was definitely something that I was like, oh, right. Like, oh, okay. And it speaks to your ownership of this path and really what you are teaching other people, which is like, own who you are. And if that means you want to be famous, if that means you want to be a superstar, own that too. Like, let's just go all in. It's just so lovely. It's infectious. I want to be more of me too now. It's that quote from Marianne Williamson's Our Deepest Fear. I'll have to link it somewhere. But the thing that stands out to me in this moment about that is she talks about when we fully embrace who we really are, we automatically give others permission to do the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God. I love that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Like you're truly doing it. You're truly, truly doing it. I love it so much.
Thank you so much.
I like to ask all of my podcast guests this question. What does manifest massively mean to you?
What does manifest massively mean to you? Oh, that is a good question. I like that. I would say, what would be the thing that would bring you the biggest, brightest ball of joy in your body? Just manifest that, manifest joy. Follow, like literally, it sounds so cliche. It sounds like something you put on a poster in a school, but what fucking brings you joy? Like, go after that and be unapologetic about it. Listen, I love this. I have a card in my deck, and one in my deck over here. It says, "Opinions are the lowest form of knowledge. Disregard all other people's opinions, and you just go live your life." Manifest massively sounds like to me living your life in just full blown, unapologetic love for your life and for yourself. Manifest massive joy. Manifest massive abundance. Manifest massive, incredible friendships. Just do the joy thing. Just follow all the joy because that's what it's all about to me.
So true. I love it. I love it. I think that's the perfect note to end on. Joy, you guys go find Stephen everywhere. You will not regret it. And we'll see you in the next episode.